Hey, what's up, man? It's your boy DB here. Here for an exposed video, something I have to get out about a certain somebody. At the end of this video or in another video, I'll show you the interactions I've had with this guy. So I was going through some messages and I came across another reviewer of mine and a friend of mine, and he had an issue with a guy by the name of Jared Black. And DB's not good with names, but I am good with names that I have to remember. If something has stuck in my mind, I'll remember names. I'm normally good at faces, very good at faces. Being a bail agent for 12 years, I kind of remember faces, but even knocked on doors and forgot who the heck I'm looking for. So I had to look in my file and say, oh, yeah, that's who I'm looking for. Rather, I just didn't remember the name, or I had so many cases that I couldn't remember. But anyway, let's jump into this Jared Black guy. Now, I want you guys to notice something. Almost every single idiots, thieves, liars, sub buyers, and all that stuff happened to come out of a TLTG fragrance lounge. Now, long story short, I gave Ross Carlos the fragrance lounge. It was called No Nonsense Fragrance Group. I gave that to him as a gift out of the kindness of my heart. Took him about 20 minutes to change everything, including throwing out all the members that I had in there. So anyway, I give him this group, and what does he do? He shames it. He said he'll take real good care of it. He took real good care of it by letting people boot me out to begin with. So as I was in my prime in this group TLTG, if anybody has ever been in that group will tell you, DB made it fun. I do it in Dapper. I actually don't do it near as much fun as I did in Dapper as I did in the TLTG lounge. But anyway, so as I'm sitting there one day, I get a text from a guy who I've already exposed, Adrian Cano, and this douche waffle hits me up and says, "Man, this new guy came into the group. See, I wasn't an admin in this group, so I don't approve or throw anybody out. I gave it away. So I go in and I do a little looking around. Sure enough, here comes this guy named Jared Black into this group selling thousands of dollars worth of fragrances. You guys will find a lot of humor in this story, but also should piss you off as a Fragcom guy. So this Adrian Cano hits me up and he's like, "Man, should I trust this guy? I mean, is this guy? You think this guy's really legit?" Now, DB's one of the kind of guys who feels like you got to give somebody a chance to screw up. They may never screw up. They may screw up. It depends on how bad they screw up. You may be able to forgive them and move on and try it again. So he comes in and puts a bunch of freaking fragrances out there. He sold, I think, somewhere around $1,200-$1,300 worth of fragrances, and they were selling like hotcakes. Didn't really make me jealous. I was making mine off of testers for mad cheap. You guys don't understand. I was getting testers so cheap it was pathetic. Anyway, so I was getting 12 testers for 250 bucks. And these were I'd say half of those testers were fairly new, as in new releases, weren't that old. I think the oldest newer one was like 6 months, 4 or 6 months just came out. But anyway, they just didn't have caps, had sprayers and everything. It was a good deal. People were getting stuff mad cheap. I was making my money and keeping half of what I got. Anyway, so this guy comes into this group and selling all this stuff. And I tell Adrian, I'm like, "Hey, man, give the man a chance." So he paid for it. Adrian got all his fragrances. Everything was real good. Then some things happened between me and Ross. Ross looks at YouTube as a business adventure, as you can tell by how many subs he buys. And I'm about to get to him in a minute. Don't think I'll forget him. He buys so many subs, it's obvious he sees this as a business, not as having fun and keeping people educated and being a team player. So this dude comes and I have issues with Ross, and finally one of the admin kicked me out because I made a bad deal. Hey, it happens, man. I sold fragrances I didn't know was fake. I more than made up for it. There's proof of that everywhere. But nonetheless, they booted me out anyway. All of a sudden, this Jared Black becomes the new. Him and Michael Dinsmore become the. Dinsmore was the doing the decants, which I took care of. Splits and stuff like that, I took care of. And then all of a sudden, Jared Black now is the guy selling these semi-cheap fragrances and testers and whatnot else. So I personally didn't buy anything from the guy because I felt like there was something off. But I'm not going to express that and be looked at as a bad guy because I'm assuming somebody's not such a decent person. My gut feelings of the guy was he was a piece of trash. And that came from him thinking he was going to come into the group and just take things over. I never voiced my opinion about it. I left it alone, but he somehow had a problem with me. Seemed like he couldn't take over, I guess, what I was doing. Everybody still come back to Dwayne to get their stuff done. So one of our last interactions was this dude hits me up. The deal was with Adrian Cano that the deal was done, that nobody would be told about me sending the fake creeds, which is honest to God why you do not see any creeds in my collection. I refuse to deal with creeds anymore. I'm tired of being. I know most. I say 60 to 70% of how to find a fake creed, but I just don't want to deal with it anymore. I bought a fake creed off of eBay, which was legit picture. When I got it back from eBay, it was the first creed I had ever bought. Actually, probably my first real brand new bottle, and it was fake when I got it. So then I went in and did this, bought the sale from this guy who was a dealer, and got fakes from him. He said just the the boxes were damaged, which they were bad, but all the stuff was intact. Everything seemed fine, had batch codes with it and everything. But found out they were fakes, and there's no doubt they were fakes. So Adrian was supposed to keep his mouth shut. I took care of him. I sent him a bunch of different fragrances. In my opinion, 1.5 times the amount that I sent him. That he made out because I screwed up, but that's just me. So I was doing a split of Xerjoff Naxos. I had done this right before I left the group. People had already paid. This Jared guy had put in there that he was in, and I asked him to pay. It was time to pay up, and he's like, man, there's a family emergency. I'm in the ER right now, which was his excuse to my reviewer friend. I'm not going to put his name out there. If he'd like to interject his name in the bottom of this, he's more than happy to. So this piece of trash, obviously I knew that story was BS because he was active the whole entire time. You know, down in the messenger, it has a green thing saying active now. The dude was active the whole entire time. So he made up this bogus story. He's in the hospital taking care of family stuff. But he said, I'll pay you in a minute, man. I'm in the emergency room, active the whole time. Finally, he come back and just said, I'll pass on it. After I hit him up and just said, look, dude, if you don't want to pay, you don't want to do it, that's fine. And so be it. That really pissed me off. And I pretty much told him, keep my name off of your mouth. I'll keep your name off of my mouth. We'll move along. So at the end of that initial conversation, he had the nerve to bring up that I sent somebody fake bottles of Creed. Now, Adrian was supposed to keep his mouth shut, but he didn't because Adrian's a big mouth. He went and told Jared. Jared was a big mouth, and that's how all that got spread around, and I got kicked out of the TLTG. So this dude has the audacity to... I was always told people who live in glass houses should never throw rocks. And I told a long time ago, I had told some people, and I can't remember who I told. If I believe I don't even speak to them anymore. And I told them there's just something about this dude that's just off. How many fragrances? Why do you have that many fragrances and sell $1,200 worth of them? I'm talking about he sold them pretty cheap. What should have been $150 bottle was like $90. So I mean, he was He was selling them awful cheap. So this dude makes this comment to me, and I block him. I don't want nothing to do with this ass anymore. Obviously, he's a phony and a fake. Once you lie to me about something, man, it's hard to ever get that. Not that he had any of my trust, but definitely wasn't going to get my trust after saying I'm in. I think he was actually pissed off that I was keeping the bottle. I decanted like 80% of the bottle. I kept the bottle and what was left in it, which at the time, excuse me, was about 25 ml. I charged mad cheap for the decants. I just wanted to take care of. I got it on sale for $189 for the bottle, full presentation, and I just charged enough to make sure everybody got a 10 ml decant, and I could keep the rest. And everybody was happy about it until I got kicked out, and then all of a sudden nobody wanted it anymore. But tough. I'm not giving you your money back. You're getting the product. So, long and behold, here we are today. And I see this message from a reviewer friend of mine saying he sent this guy $100 for some Sensual Obsessions fragrances. Now, of all the freaking things you want to rip somebody off of is Sensual Obsessions. In my opinion, 70% of Sensual Obsessions' fragrances are cheap. Not price-wise, just cheap. They do have some bangers. They do got some good ones, but most of it's no good. And on top of that, you got a piece of crap owner of the company, Kevin Holt. I just don't have anything good to say about Kevin Holt. He's trash. He always will be in my eyes. So he sends the dude, makes the deal with this reviewer, and it's a pretty decent deal. The reviewer gave in and said, heck, I'm just going to give him the $100, and that's a pretty decent deal. What was this dude Jared's excuse? Oh, I had a family emergency, brother. But he never sent my reviewer friend his fragrances. But you have the audacity to make fun of me or make a sly comment about me not sending the fragrances or sending fake bottles to someone. Well, let me tell you something, punk. You piece of crap. At least they got something from me. I find it worse to not send something to somebody than to send something that's fake. At least they got something from me. They didn't get jack from you. So look at me, boy, when I tell you, you're trash. You're a punk. You're a thief. You want to know the stupid part about it all? The dumbass ain't even been taken off the Sensual Obsessions site. That's how much of a piece of shit Kevin Holt is. So desperate for money and so desperate for fame that he won't take somebody that screwed somebody out of his fragrances. That's trash to me. You do that in the Dapper group, I'm admin. You're gone. Period. I don't care if you turn around and make it right. You ain't coming back and screwing nobody in this Dapper Fragrance family on Facebook. Period. It ain't happening. So now my boy's out of $100 because trash like you is in the fragrance community. You're what makes fragrance community. You're the one who makes the Fragcom trashed as it is. People like you who take people's hard-earned money and run away with it and make the excuse you had a family emergency. It'd be okay if that happened once and you actually sent it. Dude would be all right. They'd be a little pissed off. Probably don't do business with you again. But hey, you made it right. But that excuse has come up so many times. It's not the first time that I heard that you screwed somebody over. I heard a couple people you sent some fragrances to that they think's wishy-washy. Something about it ain't right. But they were kind-hearted people. Don't want to come back and make and ruin your reputation. I wish they'd let me come out and say something. You're trash. And if I have it my way, you'll be out of Fragcom. I'll find out every name you use and make sure you never come in Fragcom again. You're trash, boy. I knew it from the day that you set foot in the TLTG Lounge. Seems like a lot of trash comes out of TLTG Fragrance Lounge. Which brings me to you, Ross Carlos. So, real quick story. I came across a bottle of some stuff that Ross Carlos wanted. Two of them. One of them was Prada. One of them was Prada Candy Kiss. And another one was a Coco de Chanel. The Coco de Chanel alone was close to a $300 bottle. It was something that wasn't made no more. I can't remember it anymore. Then you had Prada and Prada Candy Kiss. Both 95% full. I gave it to that jerk for $110 for all three. Okay? When I left the lounge, I owed some people some money. Now, because I got kicked out and they blocked me, I couldn't communicate with them. But Ross owed me money. So he agreed to pay one dude $55 and the other dude $55. Okay? And one of those dudes, he said he paid. He never paid him. How do I know? Almost a year later, I made a video calling out this dude, which I'm not going to admit his name no more. He said he'd keep his mouth off of me. I'm going to do it. But just go down and you'll find it in the videos. He said he paid this dude. I exposed this dude, and this dude says, you owe me freaking money. How come you've never paid? I said, Ross Carlos was supposed to take care of that. He said, I never got a penny from Ross Carlos. So I hit Ross Carlos up, and I say, hey, Ross, thought you paid this guy. And he sends me a photo, a screenshot. He just right then and there paid the guy. I held $50 from somebody for like 3 or 4 weeks because they screwed me out of a deal. I did nothing to you, Ross. But you know what really stinks is because you got George Zaharoff on your ass. You got EJ Wells kissing your ass. You got other people in Fragcom kissing your ass. They're so high up on the damn ladder, nobody wants to offend them, so they won't offend you, so they won't offend them. You know what I got to say? That's what I got to say to you, Ross Carlos. You should be kicked out of Fragcom exactly the same way I did. You held that shit for 10 damn months. 10 months you held $50 back, making me look bad. And you want to call me, I can't deal with you anymore, DB, because, man, you're just making it hard on me. People say you did all these bad deals. Well, punk, you made the bad deal. You made the bad deal. You're trash. You're a fragrance whore. I'm telling you straight up you are. Dude, you'll suck anything to make a few subs and keep fragrances. You're the reason I sent Dua messages saying I can't believe you won't send me samples, but you sent punk Ross Carlos like 5 fragrances, full bottles, and he never reviewed because you're a fragrance whore. You just want to see how good it looks back there. But almost in every one of your weekly rotations, you got Nautica Voyage. You got Roja Dove sitting behind you. You never even took the time to review. They were free bottles. You guys catching how much of a fragrance whore this dude is? Ross has got the dirtiest knees in Fragcom, and he's got the dirtiest knees for a reason. I was going to keep my mouth off of him until he did this to me. That's bullshit. And every one of you in Fragcom ought to be going to Ross Carlos, asking him why he did it and what reasons he did it for. You should be asking questions. But it won't happen because George Zaharoff is a friend of his. George Zaharoff buys him subs. Nobody gives a crap about offending George Zaharoff. George Zaharoff ain't the guy you think he is, guys. Disagree with me, be mad at me, unsubscribe. I'm just truthful, man. Zaharoff's a liar himself. I've caught him in several lies. What's the lies, DB? Oh, I didn't write that comment, man, saying anything about Steve from Redolescence's line of Novatus. I didn't write that, but I got the screenshot saying you did. Man, DB, I want to come see you, man, and I want to sit down with you and I don't want you to, but it's just one of your lies. You want to put me on that meeting what was that called? Reviewing the reviewer. I ain't seen nor heard from you since then, man. Y'all can take your lies, shove them up your ass, and leave DB alone. I'm out of here. Jared Black, I got my eye on you, punk. my reviewer friend, keep your head up. It'll come back to you one way or another. Deuces.